Welcome to part 2 of this video. We're going to cover the slide that does the extreme long shot, and I'm going to introduce to you drawing with the rectangle and the circle and filling them in lines and what an object is and lots of properties. So quick reminder, an extreme long shot is known as an establishing shot. Usually it's like usually the first thing that, that the video or the movie may start with. You just kind of just lets the audience know where you are. You know, you're in Hollywood, or maybe you're in a city, or maybe you're at Eastern High School. So you have a long shot, extreme long shot of the building, just to let people know where you are. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna attempt to draw a extreme long shot. So I open up my Flash, and I've got these first 2 frames already done from the first part. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click in that 3rd frame, and I'm gonna right click and insert a blank keyframe. Now I just want to show, if you accidentally hit insert keyframe, what it will do, it'll copy everything from the frame before forward. So it just basically duplicates it. If you did that, that's fine. You could just delete the stuff and then type it in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to type in ELS, extreme long shot. I got it from, I already had it copy and pasted. And then I'm going to do a little side text box. I'll put it over here. And the purpose of it, what's the purpose? It sets up the scene. It's a great way to start your animation, so you know, kind of show the audience where you are in general. It doesn't have to be real specific. Now, just to give this just a little definition, let's put this like in a little text box. And what I'm going to do is, see how this looks, I'm going to use this circle, the oval tool. Now when you click on the oval tool, you activate it, look down here under options. This little guy either will be on or off. Object drawing, now you can kind of toggle it, so now it's off, now it's on. Generally you want it to be, you know, on quite a bit. When it's on, what that means is when I draw the circle, watch, I'll go ahead and draw it, it automatically basically groups it. It like puts that blue box around it, and then if I click it, it clicks as it stays together as a whole piece. Now opposed to, let me do this, let me change the color of the edge to pink so you can see it. See, when you're drawing objects, they have fill colors and they have edge colors. So when you click on it, you can see the pencil is like the edge, and then the paint bucket is the fill, or the stroke. And then you can, of course, vary the thickness. Now, if I draw another circle, and this time I turn object drawing off, did I get it off? There, I got it off. Now when you draw that circle, watch what happens when I click it. It's hard to see in this video maybe, but I basically select the bitmap. I select all the little pixels and they light up. And if I just click once, it only selects the fill. Or I can click on the pink and I can just select the edge. So they're not grouped, they're separate. So if I go and like grab this and move it, it just slides the fill out. And the neat thing about it is it does keep track. It thinks a fill is different than an edge. So when I push those 2 things together, they ignore each other. They kind of float over the top of each other. Now I want you to compare that. Let me draw another one. This time I'm going to make it a green and a blue. I'm going to draw this another circle. And now when these guys touch each other, since they're both still fills, they'll actually interact with each other. And so when I move them away, the blue took a chunk out of the green. Or if I move the green, oh, you can do that too. You can grab the edge of it and move it. And see, it's just like a disaster here. So that can be handy depending on what you're doing. So play around a little bit with that. But normally what I like to do is I'm generally keeping it inside the object mode. And if I want to interact with it, I would go to modify, ungroup. And when you ungroup it, it brings it back like it's not an object anymore. And I'm going to group it back. If you double click it, if you click it the first time, it'll select the fill. If you click it a second time, it'll select everything that's touching the fill. So it selects the whole object. And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to group it. Okay, so cool. Now I'm going to get rid of this. So what I want to do is I want to put that circle here. Now it covers up the text. So what I want to do is make that fill color a gradient. So I am going to go in here and I'm going to say, you know, make this a gradient, a radial, black to white. Now, when you're trying to use the color mixer, since it's grouped right now, it's not letting me change the properties of it. So I'm going to go up to it and I'm going to modify it. I'm going to ungroup that thing. And now I can just select that fill color. Now I can say, hey, I want that fill color to be a radial. And maybe it should start, right now it's starting black. That's why it starts black in the middle. So it's starting black and then it's going out to the edges and it's getting white. I'm going to actually kind of flip that. I'm going to have it start white in the middle. And then as it gets to the edge, get darker. I'm going to move that white closer and closer to the edge so I can see it. And maybe, I'll add in one extra one and I'll make that one a kind of a gray. So it'll kind of go white to softer gray and then it'll eventually get on to black. See how that looks. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I don't know about that pink, but so that kind of gives me like a little thing over there. So now that's introducing you to the circle tool, and that talks about the options, so make sure you remember that. Now let's go ahead and do the long shot. What I'm going to do is do a classic long shot of a city at night. So I'm going to come over to Google. Since I'm using Chrome, you can just type it in here, city at night, and bring me right over to Google. And I'm going to go to images. I'm just going to find a city scene that I can use as a model. And I'm looking for something that kind of has some basic shapes, skyscrapers, something that's not too hard to draw or attempt to recreate. How about this one right here? Doesn't look too bad. So it's kind of got some basic shapes, got a lot of sky. I like that little gradient blue. It's kind of going light to dark. So I'm just going to right click and copy that image. And I'm going to come over to Flash and I'm just going to paste that thing in. And I'm just going to click on that and put it up here. I want to use that as a model. And now I want to try to recreate that. So I'm going to click on my rectangle tool. And notice when you click and hold, there's another option of Polystar. If you click on Polystar, you can customize it and like how many edges you want. I just want to draw a nice rectangle. I will make it an object. Now before I draw it, I'm going to set it up. I'm going to have just a black edge to it. And I'm going to make the inside, I'm going to see if I can do this, I'm going to come over here to my color, make sure you've got more control. And I'm going to make this a linear. And I want to make it start on the right hand side, which would be over here. I'm going to make it have a very light color. Hey, there it goes. Almost gray. And then as it gets a little darker, watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that eyedropper. I'm going to touch to the sky. So now it's going to get like that. And then it's going to go from there. Hey. And maybe go about here. And then it's going to end way up here. So that's what my rectangle is going to hopefully do. So I am going to go ahead and just draw a basic rectangle. And now it fills it in. Now I'm going to use my gradient transformation tool, which is right up here. Right over here. Click on that. And then I can click on that gradient. And now what I want to do is I want to move that thing down a little bit. Rotate it around. That gradient's a little bit harsh. Kind of not smooth enough. I need to get rid of that white, I think. Maybe match it to more like there. So it's a little bit of a softer gradient. That's not too bad, not too bad. So I've got my basic background I'm going to draw off of it. It's an object drawing right now, so it's all like been grouped, which is perfect. So when I draw on top of it, the two objects won't interact. They'll just kind of float. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a few minutes and I'm going to draw a series of these rectangles, basic rectangles, to kind of fill in attempt to fill in a little cityscape. So I'm going to click on my rectangle tool. Before I draw my first rectangle, I'm going to change the color of it. I'm just going to make it a regular solid. And geez, this probably won't happen to you. My stuff's freaking popping up everywhere. I use over here. I'll match it to that skyscraper. I'll draw one there. Now notice as you draw it, how kind of when it gets close to an edge, it snaps down, and it will kind of go right to it where it thinks you want to go. So that's pretty nice. So I'll draw that one, and it kind of looks like there's a little building here in front of it. I'm not the best drawer. I'm just kind of roughing this thing out. And now I'll draw another one and I'll change up the color. Oh, it changed one that was still selected. Oh, whatever. See how I did that? So I changed that one. Alright, I'm going to pause and draw a few more. Okay, I'm back. I drew a few rectangles. And now I just started to try to draw that light on top. And when I drew my rectangle, it kind of snapped. It wouldn't let me draw a really thin one. So what I'm going to do is come down here to the properties. You see right now it says the width and the height. And I'm going to change that height and make it a lot skinnier. There. Now it's kind of like that. And now notice over here with this rectangle, when I was drawing them, there's a little gap that got introduced. And if you get your mouse right up on the edge of a rectangle or a circle tool, you'll notice there's like a little curve there. And if you grab it, it'll actually let you like sculpt, like pull the thing out. It's kind of weird. I don't really want to do it in this. It's kind of a neat effect. It can be. So what I want to do, if I want this rectangle to be a little bit bigger, I'm just going to select it and I'm going to come over to the width. And I'm just going to make that width like another couple pixels, maybe 26. And then I can slide it over a little bit to the left using my arrow keys. There. Now I got them hugging each other. And now I'm just going to go through and I will draw a few more lights. And, you know, whatever. I'm not supposed to use the brush yet, but that's probably a good time to use the brush. I can make a small brush so you can change the size. It'd be like a little rectangle. And this is a nice little feature. I'll give you a quick little thing. I'm going to say paint fills, and it will only paint the stuff that's filled. I need to make that a little bit smaller. And I'm just going to go through and maybe make a few lights. I get to say paint normal. Yeah. So I'll go through that and you can do yours. Okay, I think that's good enough for me. I am definitely not the world's greatest artist, so I'm going to get rid of the sample. Click on that and delete it. Hey, if I grab it. Well, anyways, I'm sure I think this program's interacting with it. But you should be able to delete yours and get rid of that, and then you can just have that slide. And I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then I will be ready to go on to the next page. So I'll meet you at that video.